The interrogation room was cold. It was a deep, freezing cold that seeped through boot soles and clung to the skin like a damp shroud. Shadows danced in the corners, cast by the single flickering red light overhead. In the center of this grim chamber sat Elena Vance. To the naked eye, she looked entirely out of place. She was small, young, and possessed a delicate grace that seemed far too fragile for the harshness of deep space. Her silver diplomatic uniform, though slightly dusty, was still neat. She wore no armor, carried no weapons. She looked like a flower, waiting to be crushed under a heavy boot. Standing directly in front of her was the heavy boot itself. Commander Vrak was a towering nightmare of muscle, scales, and scars. His reptilian skin was a dark, muddy green, and his chest was adorned with medals won from the slaughter of dozens of worlds. He breathed with a heavy, wet rasp, a sound that usually made prisoners tremble with fear. He had spent his entire life fighting, conquering, and breaking things. To Vrak, the universe was simple. The strong rule, and the weak bleed. Vrak leaned forward, his massive claws resting on the cold metal table separating them. He let out a low, rumbling laugh that vibrated through the metal floor. "I have fought your soldiers, human," Vrak growled, his voice like grinding stones. "I have seen your elite commandos, the ones you call Marines. They are big. They wear thick black armor. They carry loud guns. And yet, when my warriors cornered them on the border worlds, they bled just like any other prey. They screamed for their mothers when my blades tore through their flesh." Elena did not flinch. She did not even blink. Her brown eyes remained calm, reflecting the dim red glow of the overhead light. Her breathing was slow even, and terrifyingly steady. Vrak sneered, annoyed by her lack of terror. "And now, your High Council sends me you, a diplomat. A little girl with soft hands who spends her days writing words on digital pads. Do they think your words can stop my fleet? Do they think your pretty speeches can save your dying species?" A soft, almost imperceptible smile played at the corners of Elena's lips. It was a gentle expression, but it sent a sudden, unexplained chill down Vrak's spine. "You do not understand us, Commander," Elena said. Her voice was remarkably soft, yet it carried a strange weight that filled the silent, empty room. "We only send our soldiers when we want someone to survive. We send them when we want to capture, to occupy, or to protect. Our soldiers are trained to follow rules. They are trained to hold back." She leaned back slightly, her heavy steel handcuffs clinking softly against her lap. "But we only send our diplomats when we want everything gone." Vrak stared at her, then threw his head back and laughed loudly. He tapped a console on the wall, activating a holographic screen between them. "Do not speak to me of human power, girl. I know your history. I know what Earth is." The screen showed Earth's brutal landscapes, exploding volcanoes, crushing oceans, and high-gravity environments that would kill a lesser alien. Vrak pointed a claw at the screen. "You come from a Class 4 death world. Your ancestors survived extreme gravity, poison, and monsters. But look at you now. You have built soft cities. You have grown weak. You have forgotten how to fight. You hide behind your big armored soldiers because you are terrified of the dark." Elena looked at the holographic flames of her home planet. A wave of deep, quiet emotion washed over her face. It was not fear. It was a profound, ancient sadness. "Did not grow weak, Commander," she whispered, her voice laced with heavy suspense. "We grew tired of the violence. We built soft cities because we wanted to forget the monsters we had to become just to survive on that planet. We wear these nice uniforms to hide the scars. We speak in polite voices so we do not have to scream." Vrak's patience snapped. But the psychological game was not working, and her eerie calmness was beginning to make him angry. With a sudden movement, he drew his heavy kinetic blaster. The loud clack echoed in the chamber. He slammed the barrel of the gun directly against Elena's forehead. The cold, heavy metal pressed hard against her soft skin. "I do not care about your soft cities or your sad stories," Vrak roared. his yellow eyes wide with fury. "Give me the security codes to the human sector now, or I will paint this wall with your blood. You have 3 seconds." Elena looked directly into the barrel of the gun. The fragile-looking diplomat did not tremble. The smile returned to her face, but this time it was not gentle. It was the cold, hungry smile of an apex predator looking at its next meal. "You think these chains are here to keep me from escaping?" Elena whispered, her voice barely a breath in the freezing air. "No, Commander. They are here to protect you from me." Before Vrak could pull the trigger, the red light overhead suddenly flickered and died. The hum of the ship's engine stopped. The room was plunged into absolute pitch-black darkness. The darkness did not last. Within seconds, the emergency backup generators roared to life with a low, vibrating hum. A dim crimson glare flooded the interrogation room, painting everything in the color of blood. Commander Vrak blinked, trying to adjust his heavy reptilian eyes to the sudden red glow, but when his vision cleared, his breath caught in his throat. Elena Vance was still sitting in her chair, but she was no longer bound. On the metal table lay the heavy steel handcuffs, twisted, mangled, and completely snapped in half. There were no tools, no lasers, and no keys. Elena had simply closed her fists and flexed her arms. The extreme muscle density of a human born on a high-gravity world had shattered the alien alloy like cheap glass. "Intruder! Kill her!" Vrak roared, stumbling backward in sheer terror. 2 armored alien guards rushed forward, their heavy boots slamming against the floor. One of them drew a humming, glowing energy blade, swinging it in a deadly arc straight at Elena's neck. Elena did not run. With terrifying Death Worlder speed, she stepped into the attack. Her Nange Hath, bare hands, shot forward. She caught the glowing, white-hot blade directly by the metal hilt and the raw energy edge. The room filled with a sickening hiss as the energy crackled against her skin. But Elena didn't even flinch. With a cold, merciless grunt, she twisted. Her wrist, snap. The sacred alien steel shattered into dozens of flying, glowing pieces. Before the guard could scream, Elena delivered a lightning-fast palm strike to his chest armor, sending his heavy body crashing through the reinforced metal wall. Vrak scrambled to the exit, his claws frantically hitting the emergency lock. The heavy blast doors began to slide shut. He looked back one last time through the narrowing gap. Elena was standing over the unconscious guards, her silver uniform stained with alien blood. Her eyes, normally a soft brown, now glowed with a feral hunting light under the red emergency lamps. But she wasn't looking at Vrak. She was looking at the security feed on the wall monitor. The screen showed the main cargo hold where the captured human soldiers were being kept. But something was wrong. A massive, towering biomechanical beast, a horror used to cleanse entire planets, had just been released into their cells. Elena's eyes widened as she realized the horrifying truth. The aliens weren't trying to keep the humans captive. They were already executing them. Commander Vrak sprinted down the metallic corridor, his heavy breathing echoing off the steel walls. On his wristcom, the security feed from the cargo hold flickered. The monstrous biomechanical beast, a towering mass of flesh and metal claws, was tearing through the metal doors of the human soldier cells. The soldiers inside, weakened by gravity dampeners, were helpless. But behind Vrak, a loud clang shook the entire deck. He looked back in horror. The heavy blast doors, designed to withstand orbital bombardment, were bulging outward. Elena was not trying to bypass the lock. She was literally punching her way through the thick starship alloy. With a deafening tear of metal, the door gave way. Elena stepped through the wreckage. Galactic history had taught the Council that humans were fragile, soft creatures who built treaties because they feared war. They did not know the secret of the Death World envoy. In the human empire, soldiers were trained for tactical warfare. But the diplomats, they were chosen from the deepest, highest gravity mining colonies of Earth. Their bones were denser than steel. Their muscles were built to survive pressures that would instantly flatten an alien skull. Elena did not run toward Vrak. She sprinted toward the maintenance shaft, aiming to reach the cargo deck before the beast slaughtered her people. Her speed was a terrifying blur, her boots leaving deep dents in the metal floor with every stride. Suddenly, the ship violently shuddered. The gravity dampeners on the deck failed entirely. The ship's AI screamed, "Warning! Gravity levels rising to Earth standard. Maximum 3.0 Gs." To Vrak, the sudden weight was crushing. He collapsed to his knees, his bones groaning under his own mass. But as he struggled to breathe, he looked up. Elena had stopped running. She was standing perfectly straight, a fierce, cold smile on her face. She looked down at Vrak, completely unaffected by the crushing weight. But then, a chilling sound echoed through the ventilation shafts. It was not the roar of the beast. It was the frantic, panicked screaming of the human soldiers below. The beast had just broken into their main cell, and the rising gravity had pinned the defenseless soldiers to the floor, leaving them completely at its mercy. Under the crushing force of 3 times the normal gravity, the cargo deck was a chamber of absolute terror. The human soldiers were pinned to the cold metallic floor, their heavy bones pressing painfully against the steel. Above them, the biomechanical beast roared. The monster's metallic claws scraped against the deck as it stepped easily through the high gravity, its red cybernetic eye locking onto the helpless humans. It raised a massive, razor-sharp blade arm to slice the nearest soldier in half. Suddenly, the overhead shadows moved, a silver blur dropped from the high ceiling, landing with a thunderous boom that cracked the floorboards. It was Elena. The beast hissed, turning its massive head toward her, but Elena was already moving. In this crushing gravity, she did not struggle. She thrived. To her, this heavy air felt exactly like the deep gravity mines of Earth. With raw, terrifying power, she charged. The beast lunged, swinging its razor-sharp arm. Elena ducked under the swipe, grabbed the monster's thick mechanical leg, and with a desperate, primal scream, lifted the 3-ton beast completely off the ground and slammed it hard into the ceiling. Sparks exploded. The monster crashed back down, dazed. "Get to the escape pods," Elena ordered the soldiers, her voice echoing with the absolute authority of a high-ranking diplomat. The soldiers, struggling to stand, began crawling toward the exit doors. But as Elena turned to face the rising beast once more, a cold, synthetic voice echoed through the ship's speakers. Reactor overload initiated by Commander Vrak. Self-destruct in 90 seconds. Escape pods locked. Elena's heart stopped. The beast was already standing back up, its cybernetic eye glowing red with fury, blocking her only path to the ship's main control bridge. The self-destruct countdown echoed through the metallic corridors like a ticking death sentence. 90 seconds. The biomechanical beast lunged, its metallic claws tearing the air. But Elena did not back down. She was the unstoppable force. As the monster leaped, she slid underneath its massive frame, grabbed its heavy steel tail, and twisted with all her might. With a sickening screech of tearing metal, she ripped the tail clean off, sparking a violent blue electrical fire. The beast collapsed, howling in mechanical pain. Elena didn't look back. She sprinted toward the control bridge, her boots leaving scorched dents in the floor. 70 seconds. She slammed her shoulder into the heavy bridge doors, shattering the lock and bursting inside. Commander Vrak stood at the main console, his hand hovering over the override switch. He looked up, his reptilian eyes wide with absolute terror. "You are too late, human!" Vrak shrieked. "This ship will burn, and you will burn with it!" "We survived the fires of Earth," Elena said, her voice dangerously calm. "Your little spark will not kill us." She leaped across the room, her hand locking onto Vrak's wrist before he could push the self-destruct trigger deeper. With a swift twist, she broke his grip, throwing him across the bridge. She slammed her hands onto the console, her fingers flying across the alien keyboard to bypass the lockdown. Self-destruct canceled. Escape pods unlocked. The ship's computer chimed. Below, the escape pod shot into the cold dark of space, carrying her soldiers to safety. Elena let out a heavy breath, her body finally trembling from the extreme gravity and exhaustion. But then, a cold metallic click sounded behind her. Elena turned slowly. Vrak was standing, blood dripping from his snout, holding a heavy, black prototype plasma rifle. He wasn't aiming at her. He was aiming at the ship's exposed hyperdrive core. "If I cannot have the codes," Vrak whispered, a mad grin spreading across his face, "nobody leaves this sector alive." He pulled the trigger. The heavy plasma bolt struck the hyperdrive core with a blinding flash of blue light. The massive ship violently lurched. Deafening sirens wailed as raw, unstable energy flooded the ruined command bridge. Vrak dropped the rifle and laughed, a horrible wet sound. "We both die here, human. Your weak, soft species will watch us burn together." Elena did not panic. She did not scream. Instead, she stood tall and wiped the dirt from her silver uniform. A cold, terrifying smile slowly spread across her lips. "You think I was trying to stop the explosion?" Elena asked, her voice dangerously calm. "I told you, Commander. We send soldiers to save. We send diplomats to erase." She tapped a hidden device on her wrist. Instantly, a massive holographic projection filled the bridge. It was the High Galactic Senate chamber, packed with thousands of shocked alien leaders watching them live. Vrak's laughter died. He looked at the main tactical screen. The hyperdrive core wasn't just overloading this ship. Elena had rewritten the magnetic tethers. The ship's gravity field was violently dragging Vrak's entire surrounding war fleet directly into the core's blast radius. Elena looked directly at the live broadcast. "Next time, stop fearing our soldiers and pray our diplomats never return before..." Vrak could move. Elena stepped backward into the hidden VIP escape chute behind the command chair. The glass tube sealed instantly, rocketing her away into the dark void. Vrak fell to his knees as the core finally cracked open, swallowing his entire armada in pure white fire. Deep in space, Elena sat alone in the silent pod. But suddenly, her communication console flashed red. The Galactic Senate was overriding her secure channel, sending her one final terrifying message.